critical mass. Episode 9. My pants are at a critical mass. Transponder unknown. Ship type unknown.
It's nothing bigger than a light transport. Nothing we can't handle. Govagoot?
Govagoot.
If I had your kind of money, I'd be sitting in a penthouse at the Shangri-La.
My father's money.
I see.
And that's his weapon on that ship.
Okay. Her father's weapon. Okay.
Just need to know what it is so it can.
Belters need to know what it is so it cannot be used against us.
Us? But you're definitely one of us, Beltalada.
Beltalora. I'm a Beltalora. Jesus. 4 seconds in, they're already... They've already taken over the ship from the inside. Pour one out for that guy.
Canterbury should be picking it up soon.
Let's hope they take the bait. The sooner we get Earth and Mars at each other's throats, the sooner we get their eyes off arrows.
Okay. Yo. So I don't have an issue with this anymore. And I'll explain why at the end. But no, I had a problem with it on the first viewing. And then when I've gone back and did the editing, I realized I was totally wrong. And I'll talk about what happened in my head later. But we'll just get back to the reaction.
No.
Well, I'm hot. Check climate control and make it cooler.
Yes, ma'am.
Woman coughs. Okay, she's sick. She's got the blue virus. I like the sound they make. It's them killing the engines to go in stealth. It's like a whale sonar mix. All right, so we've seen this shot, and the stomping, and then the doof, right? Just walking around like Gordon Freeman with the wrench. Okay, so you got some blue gunk on her and on her clothes. Sending out an SOS.
But I just have to leave.
Whatever you do, don't destroy the ship. It's a banging intro. Okay, just like the woman who touched it.
I tried.
Okay. You gotta do what you gotta do. King-size capsules.
Why didn't you come?
No, they're not animals. You have every right to be angry.
Belters aren't animals? Is that what he said? Beltalora no animal. Ugh. You got eczema? Bro, you got eczema? Okay. Let me think about this for a second. So the bird is fake. We're not, you know, the bird isn't real. Somehow it's connected them. She sees him. It's almost like in the same way that he had a photo of her, she's seeing a photo of Miller with the jacket, with the hat. In the same way the bird leads Miller to Julie, the bird is showing Julie Miller. Like, I don't really know much more than that, but it's clear that the bird and stuff is like a symbol for... it's not just a hummingbird like chilling. It's significant for something.
Don't touch her.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Be contagious.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Come on, boy.
The cleansing waters of Lake Minnetonka. I like this.
What happened to her? What happened to her?
It's vicarious living through Miller, but I think he also recognized that it's justified. And I think he also recognized that Miller's not actually gonna like hurt him, right? He's just kind of venting. To me, that's what this comes across, right? Kind of wants to punch Holden in the face a little bit. Kind of recognizes what's happening with Miller. Okay, right. If it turns violent, I'll step in, but like, just let him get some of that out. Dang, look at that coat.
Thank you for letting
That's
me
his husband.
Craig, I'm devastated.
They were just about
I
to
never
start up a
would've
wine
thought
You
thing.
weren't here. I found out he was paying for those trips himself. He was ashamed of sitting around the house, so I played along. Damn near impossible to stay properly mad at that brat.
Talking about her.
I'm not Frank.
You kind of
Would you mind
deserve it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Oh my days, these people. Okay. She took something and it's got to be important somehow. If it was just a keepsake, then it's probably not important enough to show in the story. Those pencils are going to show up later, and I don't really know what you do with 3 graphite pencils, but we'll see. But this guy knows what that is, but the people underneath him don't know what that is. Even the woman in charge of the Anubis didn't know what that is. So there's like 3 levels going on. This dude, that woman, and then the normal dudes with these with these latex suits on. He's the only one that knows what this is. He's clearly like researched this or whatever. He knows not to touch it. He's got a kit ready. The woman didn't know that she was infected by it, and these guys have no idea what's going on. Proto Molecule, so the original molecule. Evolution phase 2. This looks like a subway map in a way, a transit map. Transit pod. Okay, so maybe it is Dock 2A2. Okay, I think that's exactly what this is. Different colors hitting different points. And then that's got to be where they're gonna infect people or unleash the virus. Okay. Okay. I think I am following.
Another chance. By letting it learn.
Sure, letting it learn.
All you need.
I think he's saying we got lucky, meaning we were able to get a sample, not that we were lucky my daughter died, right? That's pretty clear.
Has experienced a radiation hazard breach.
Whoopsie.
For your
Bad news is
Docks are
ships are all
closed.
locked down
Yeah.
tight.
The Rosie.
We're stuck here.
Homeboys figured it out. Okay. I got you, fam. Rule of 3, baby. And let's go into her earring. Bush Naval Shipyard, Advanced Fusion Drive, Gunship Prototype. Bunch of handwriting. But placed nonetheless. There's like no way I'm going to be able to read any of this. Would be sufficient in any diplomatic something, nothing of the molecular IPTA. I don't know. Missing drive serial numbers. Advanced fusion drive gunship prototype. So he knew about the drive then, right? And then this changes to fucking Arial font. B, that's what stings the most in the calculation. She was foolish enough to be exempt. Come on now. The Grail probably to believe was right. I was foolish enough to be exempt. Perhaps I should join the CFR 00MD now and finally write that book.
Include
Advanced fusion drive. So this guy maybe knew about it. Prototype for an advanced fusion drive, which is what that looked like. Or at least their reactor, which is maybe this or maybe something different. I'm not sure if that is the same thing as the Proto Molecule reactor, I guess. I'm not very clear on if this fusion drive is the same as the reactor in the Anubis. And if it's missing because it was on one of these stealth ships. I have to imagine it is because they've never brought up another type of advanced thing. But it could be. It could be different.
Looking at. How could they know a ship was gonna blow up on the docks?
Come on. Figure it out.
They blew it up themselves.
There you go.
Sabakwala.
My name is Frederick Lucius Johnson.
I got you. He's leaving a voicemail for a girl that he likes back in high
My
school.
name is Frederick Lucius Changed.
Ceres, Eros, Mars, something, and Earth. Luna and Earth.
You look upon it.
The Donnager were built at the Bush Naval Shipyards. They were built by Earth.
Word. Word.
Who is the guy you're guarding?
Okay, I was gonna say, I thought Julie's dad was on Earth, and then I stopped myself from saying that because I was trying to think, did they actually establish that he's on Earth, or did I just make that connection? Because Julie left. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Scientist.
You mean the scientist, allora.
He was a scientist.
Allora. Yeah, I know. That's what...
Dresden.
Wearing a cop uniform. Why is that?
I went straight.
I'm gonna count to one.
Sees me with you, they shoot us both.
He's got a point.
Jesus, Miller.
Get this poor officer some help.
Everyone is a winner on Eros. That's kind of funny.
All the transit.
Sir, we're trying to...
Boom! Oh, okay, there you go. Yep. Adam Jensen, what are you gonna do?
All right.
Oh. Well,
We're dead.
might as well fucking go out swinging. Proto Molecule that ass. I like Miller's buddy. I like that they showed Adam Jensen running around. They got to fight to get to the Rocinante to get off Eros. Mal's father is Megamind. Why? I'm not sure. They're willing to sacrifice Eros or a percentage of the people on Eros in order to test how toxic or lethal or damaging or whatever it's supposed to do, virulent, the Proto Molecule is. I like that Holden and Miller are working together. I like that little shot of Amos letting Miller throw him up against the wall. I like the dichotomy of how Miller solves problems and how Holden would like him to solve a problem, and the pragmaticism of, hey, obviously Holden wouldn't have shot the guy to get the info or to get into the room. Miller just takes charge and shoots him. Okay, this is what we got to do. I'm going to shoot the scientist. No, can't do that. All right, well, I'm going to shoot this guy. Well, no, please. Okay. All right, you did that. Let's go in there. And there's a little push-pull there, right? Miller wants a different goal to go after the scientist. Holden stops him from shooting that guy in like cold blood, kind of. They get into a fight. Then Miller helps him go free some of those civilians, which he otherwise probably wouldn't have been concerned about at all. So they're like kind of interacting with each other, which I think is kind of cool. I don't know what the purpose of testing it on Eros is, but you have some people getting it and some people not, and they're scanning it for some reason. And the scientist guy went to another Herudite station or something like that. And then we found out that the old guy wasn't faking it. At least I don't think so. His partner thought he was just buying his own flights to go to this naval shipyard, and he wasn't doing anything just to get out of the house. But somewhere along the way, he got picked up by them. Maybe he was working with them the whole time, or maybe after he got fired, he needed something and they offered him, a way to get his life together as long as he didn't tell anybody. And then he started working with them recently, and he found out something that they were doing. Maybe instead of the Indian lady killing him, maybe he got picked up by Julie Mao's dad and realized what they were about to do. And then they killed him. It showed when she was sitting at the desk, it showed like that tiny little streak of blood, which could have been from him killing himself, or it could have been they killed him and, left like a little speck of blood there behind. Kind of reminiscent of the knife that was under that prostitute's bed, which I don't think, at least so far, has been resolved. The knife that was under her bed at near the start of episode 1, when the guy got jumped, and then Miller and his Miller and his partner went there. Yeah, the only issue I had was the thing with Holden. Okay, so the issue that I had was I thought the Scopuli was chasing after the Anubis, and a third ship was the wingman for the Anubis. And I thought that because when it shows the Scopuli chasing after the Anubis, it has this scene where the Anubis essentially does a Fast and Furious like skirt 180 and comes back and attacks the Scopuli. And when I first watched it, it just looked like black blob, and then all of a sudden I see the blue thruster. So in the shot, that's when I start going, ooh, you ain't ready, because I'm thinking, okay, there's another ship coming to get them. But when I rewatched it, I realized that they were moving forward. They essentially did a handbrake turn, did a 180, and attacked the Scopuli. So I thought there were 3 ships. So my issue just stemmed from that. The issue that I had was now the master plan, the Shadow Illuminati master plan became, we're going to chill in space and hope somebody finds us, blow up that ship, and then put a distress beacon on that ship and hope the Canterbury shows up and blow up the Canterbury. And the reason I'm saying hope the Canterbury shows up is because when they cut to the Canterbury, there's a lot of dialogue and the way they're positioning the shots and what the crew is saying that kind of suggests that there's a, 70% chance they check it out and a 30% chance they don't. That's an arbitrary number, but there's a percentage chance that they don't, even if it's required to do that. Later on, we find out more about the Illuminati. We find out that it's Julie's dad that runs it. We see that scientist, Dresden. And so throughout the episode, all that was building up in my mind. And it essentially became like, okay, this Illuminati organization, the Shadow Mormon Mouse Illuminati, located on Earth, has better technology than entire planet. They have better stealth technology than Mars. They have Mao, who's got to be at the top or in the top board of directors or something. But like, there's Mao, there's Dresden. You'd have to assume below him is the captain of that ship, that female lady, because she mentions, it's hot in here. Can you turn the AC up? So she doesn't exactly know what the material is. Then under her are like the mercenaries and grunts. So you got hierarchy of people. They have at least 7 ships. 6 of them attacked the Donager. 1 of them was guarding the Anubis. Again, I had those messed up. So then you have to train all those people. You have to hire these people. You got to find a place to store all those people. You got to find a place to build the ships and house the ships and develop the technology. And that takes millions, if not billions of credits. You got maybe 10 plus years of R&D to take it from a theory or wherever they originally found it to then put it in a practical applied science, and then you can attach it to a ship and the ship doesn't instantly blow up and kill everybody on board, such that you can finally send them out to go do stuff. All this stuff has been leading up, all that R&D has been leading up to phase 2, right? Okay, now we're ready to start the galactic faction war, okay? We've done all this. We've done all the research. We've plotted it out. We figured out what we're going to do. Now we're ready to start the faction war. And we're going to place a beacon on the Canterbury and hope it shows up. So that's their plan. Again, this is what I originally thought. Then we cut to the Canterbury. So shelve that. Then we cut to the Canterbury. Ade or Ade, the blonde chick. I'll just say Ade. Ade's like, the scene is something akin to, Captain, we got a SOS and we're required to go. And the captain interjects, I'm well aware of the regulations. Alex comes in and says, it's pirate bait. It's going to take 2 days to get there. The captain replies, we'll miss our berth. Something like that. So no one is in agreement with Ade to go. I mean, maybe Holden is in silent, but no one in his agreement with her. And that's further reinforced by the next day when the message gets logged. I think Naomi's the one who looks at her and like, I mean, I know you filed that hoe. No one's happy with you right now. You've got even the captain just wanting to get into Ceres. You have the scene really before anything in the Canterbury with the dude floating out and he gets his arm cut off by the ice. And him and his buddy, before that happens, they're talking about, when we get to Ceres, I'm going to spend all these credits. You have the shot of the Exo losing his mind, presumably because he's been in space so long. So all this is setting up the setting of the Cant and kind of the setting of the world, saying, yeah, we're required to go, check it out, but no one's really going to enforce it if we don't go, and the crew just wants to dock, and that's what I'm going to do. No, don't log the distress beacon, just dump it, right? Period. Shelve that too. Now we get to Holden, and the story just doesn't happen without Holden. So again, I'm trying to figure this all out, and I'm like, okay, if Holden isn't artificially grown to these 8 people on Earth, born to Elise Holden, raised on her farm, with windmills there, with access to that Don Quixote book, and he doesn't read it at a very specific and influential age where he can make the illusion between Don Quixote and the windmills and see, hey man, maybe I'd like to be that character. I want something more for my life too. I want to be a knight. I want to live my life like this guy does. if he doesn't then leave Earth and join the Navy, if he doesn't, I think at another point they say one of his naval officers told him to like attack some civilians or something, and he told him no, and then he got kicked out, and that's how he made his way to the Cant. If he doesn't do that, if he doesn't end up on the Cant, if he doesn't then take over that tech officer or relieve that one tech officer, there's a scene, and it's not specific. It's not like he tells the tech officer, oh, you can go, I can't sleep, and then immediately finds the SOS file. It's more, to me at least, it's more painted as, hey, I can't sleep. He's got his cup of coffee. He sits in the chair. He kind of meanders for a bit. The rat comes out of the wall. It goes back in, and then he's kind of looking around, and then his curiosity gets the better of him. He finds the file, pulls it out, and logs it. So if Holden doesn't hit every single one of these very specific Rube Goldberg domino butterfly effect things, the entire story doesn't happen because the Canterbury doesn't reply to the SOS. So that was like a real big disconnect to me of like, you mean to tell me that the Shadow Illuminati's whole plan rests on the Canterbury coming to this SOS, and if Holden isn't exactly the character the writers have made him to be, the story doesn't happen. So then the Illuminati's just chilling on the Scopuli, and they're like, okay, well, it's been 2 days. They didn't show up. I guess phase 2 just doesn't happen. The faction war just doesn't occur. I guess we pack it up and go home. And that was like a big, that was a big problem for me, because it just felt like, this makes no sense at all. What's going on here? But when I rewatched the scene, I realized, no, okay, the ship does a 180, which means there's only 2 ships, which means the Anubis is going somewhere. And because they say, I think one of the mercenaries says, we've planted the distress beacon towards the Canterbury. And then the captain, that female, says, good, the sooner this is over with, the better. We're trying to make them forget about Eros. Or the sooner we put them at each other's throats, we'll forget about Eros, whatever. But to me, the reason the entire thing makes sense now is because I've taken that to mean the Anubis is going, like in both senses of it, they're moving and in time. They're going to destroy the Canterbury. That's what they were doing. The Scopuli intercepted the Anubis, and the Anubis is like, yo, we're level 60 in Classic WoW, and you just got out of the starter zone. Like, what are you doing, right? They take that ship over easily. They no match for them. And the Scopuli even is asking Julie, like, how did you even know we were here? And to me, the plan then is, okay, we'll put the SOS beacon on the Scopuli. If the Canterbury shows up, great. We kill 2 birds in 1 stone. We'll get rid of the Scopuli. We'll chill here. Canterbury will come. Maybe that'll make our job easier. If the Canterbury doesn't reply to the SOS, again, you know, thinking back how that scene was painted, it seems like even if they're required to go, sometimes they don't. If the Canterbury doesn't show up here, okay, no big deal. We just kick the engines on and go after him again, which is what we were wanting to do in the first place. We'll just be like a few hours behind, right? So, yeah, once I'd filmed that, and then I actually did like a walk and talk because it was so messy the first time I recorded it, because it was just like, well, this makes no sense at all type thing. And I couldn't properly verbalize the argument I was making. So I actually re-recorded that part the next day. And then when I'm going through the footage today and the day before, and I'm watching it, I'm like, oh no, I was totally wrong from the get-go. So yeah, I don't think that, but that was what that issue was. That's why I paused it. And maybe in retrospect, you can look back, because throughout the rest of the episode, my head is like still partly in that like, what the hell just happened type state. So like the ending maybe really didn't click for me as hard as it could have, and some of the other beats maybe didn't click as hard as they could have, and maybe I didn't catch as much things as I normally do, because my head was like still stuck on That's that's a little contrived that Holden did all this stuff. Also, I talked to my I just hit the mic. Also, I talked to my sister, and I thought the comments that were saying, "Yo, you have to watch 9 and 10 together," were more insinuating, "Yo, there's a sick cliffhanger. You're gonna binge watch both episodes. I know it." But she told me no. It was one episode and they cut it in half. So, whoops. I didn't know that. I just watched it like any other episode. The last little quick thing I'll say is I am not happy putting out one video a week. It's my plan to put out like 2.5 videos a week, but adding in the other camera is another source to sync up, and it's 4K footage, which is a lot rougher to deal with. And I was having some issues where I have to re-record the show and keyframe it so they line up. But I've developed like templates. I got a better workflow. I've got some heuristics and save profiles and stuff. So yeah, I want to upload more because that's what I enjoy. And I've kind of figured out things to make that process a little easier. So hopefully episode 10 can go up and then we can start going through season 2. And again, I kind of want to hit that like 2.5 number of videos a week. I think that's going to be much better. And I'd like doing that more than, taking 7 days on a video, because we'll be here a long time, boys. All right. Episode 9 done. On to the final one. Bye-bye.